Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show today, FYI. Today is a very, very special day for all of us. We are at Diwali, and I have with me two very, very, very known faces in the trading world. Muhurat cannot be better than this. We have Vishal Mehta, who is the global director of CMT and the founder of MarketScanner.in, and the very special and known Abhishek, who's an investor, trader, as well as an influencer. Thank you guys for joining us today on this amazing occasion of Diwali and Muhurat trading. I'm excited to talk to both of you and learn from both of you which stocks and which sectors to bet on.
Thanks a lot, Nainesh, and it is always pleasure to be with you. And it's I will tell you this is a very special Diwali because yes, it is Diwali, and secondly, we won the match against Pakistan, so you can see the smile on my face as well.
I
So
agree.
yes,
So
happy
let me
Diwali to all, and I agree with Vishal also with respect to both the things. So it's actually a very happy Diwali for all of us.
Yes.
So, having spoken about the match, Hardik Pandya and Kohli actually did it for us. Today, I have the Hardik Pandya and Virat Kohli of the trading world with me, Vishal and Abhishek. Amazing to talk to you guys. Let me begin, obviously, by telling you, markets have done fairly well in the last year. We saw some amount of opportunities that we got within the year with the war and everything that happened. I'm going to start off by asking you, Vishal. Vishal, my first question is, tell us which was the best time that you had within this last year.
I think so. When I talk about last year, there was a specific time I would call it, but Jan, Feb, March. Okay, maybe because I was an algo trader and I was a systematic trader. When the market was correcting a bit, our algos tend to do very well. So maybe on the long side it may not, but on the systematic side it really helped me, and it showed us that you can make money even when the market is actually coming down. So yeah, it is the Diwali for us every day or every month or every quarter. It's as simple as that.
Sure. Abhishek, to you next. Tell us the one thing that you would take with you, the biggest learning of the last year.
That irrespective of how much experience you have into the markets, you still are very naive in terms of your learning. You need to continue to learn, because every time market is going to surprise you. So you cannot just predict based on what has happened 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, because now the cycles are shifting quite quickly. Initially, they were probably taking 5, 6 years. Now within 5 weeks, pura dunya badal jata hai. So that is the biggest takeaway which I've taken from the last year.
So, guys, let me tell you, I spent some time with Abhishek in a recent event, and the best part about him was he's always ready to learn. So, I love the fact he was interacting with other traders, learning. And today, this opportunity, we are going to learn from you, Abhishek and Vishal. So, guys, before we go on to getting the stocks and the sectors that they are betting on, please put on the comments. What do you want to ask Vishal and Abhishek today? Both of them are here. Both of them are going to talk to us. Both of them are going to help us how to make our new year successful. So, having said that, Vishal, I'm going to ask you a question. Okay,
Sure.
we say in technicals, market, kind of history repeats itself. Market often rhymes. Okay. Having said that, I want you to tell me, what was the kind of summary that we had in the previous year, and what do you expect going ahead in terms of the index?
Okay. So I think so. When we went back and looked at the different sectorials, okay, and I'm going to talk about in my presentation also. But what I've learned in the past year is every bull run brings up a new leader. There is a rising sector and there is a rising stock in that sector. So as an investor or a swing trader, I would call it, your idea is to find out where the momentums are shifting, because say in the COVID time, the pharma and the defensive sector became a very good player, but we are not looking at them. Then there was a line where auto sector started outperforming, and then there was another rally where it was led by banking and other thing. or cement also to a certain extent. Recently, we had seen sugar stocks picking up. So, as in, for our learning perspective, whatever the leaders has been there in the past, there is less chances that they will continue to be the leader in the next year or so. So you need to be like a sniper and figure out which are the upcoming sectors and what are the stocks in that upcoming sectors that you really want to bet on, and that's how you really find winners.
So I'm going to ask you in detail which these sectors are. Today, I'm going to make you tell me which are the sectors that I should buy at 6:15, hold them for the entire year till I see you on the next show, and I should see my portfolio in dark green.
So I'll be honest here, Nainesh. I'm a swing trader. I don't watch for 1 year, to be honest.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the traditional Muhurat trading. But we we are an Instagram world, right? Our things keep on moving much faster, and I think so. We are going to look at the things as they come, and what we
Sure.
need to do is find out the momentum, pick up the momentum, bet on the momentum, and when the momentum dies, move out of that and look for the new sector. But for the
Excited
timing,
to
I'm going to definitely tell you the sectors.
Sure. So excited to learn about momentum. Abhishek, over to you. Vishal mentioned that there are sectors and these sectors keep changing. You have been in the investment world as well as the trading world. You can give me an answer to both of these. As investors on Muhurat, what do you think? What should the idea of sector selection be?
So basically, when you're selecting on Muhurat or any specific day, the most important thing is obviously quality. A lot of people whom I see is, even if it is a Muhurat trading, what they look for is cheap stocks, which ideally is not the right approach to go for it. A cheap stock at 10 rupees could be actually very expensive, which people don't realize. So first have your own filters at place and understand that there is a difference between value and cheapness. Even if you pack garbage into a very fancy pack, the value of that garbage remains zero at that point of time. So that's the first thing which one needs to understand. And second is, yes, different people will have different approach. For example, Vishal Bhai has an approach of being into momentum. But when it comes to investing, that's the beauty of markets. We have different spheres coming out here. I particularly believe that even if you're buying on Mahurat Trading, you should have a slightly bigger horizon. Now, I'm not saying 20 years or 25 years because, as I just mentioned at the start, the horizons have changed, the things have changed. With the advent of algos and a lot of other things, liquidity things have also changed. But yes, a fair amount of at least 2 to 3 years is something which one needs to consider. So that's something there. But that's the beauty of markets. Vishal Bhai can actually pick something which will give you a good momentum for 3, 4 months, give you a decent amount of returns. Whereas I might suggest a few picks which over the period of next 3, 4 years can give decent size of returns. So everyone will have a different share. But what's important is one is quality and second is of course liquidity. A lot of people end up buying stocks which hardly have any liquidity, and then in turn, the moment market is not into the right shape, they find difficulties in taking an exit because they are just giving lower settlements. So liquidity as well as the quality is something which is very important.
Excellent. I think the biggest takeaway, liquidity and quality. Two factors coming together, you probably land up finding some quality investments around. So I'm happy that I have the Virat and the Hardik here. One is talking about the momentum, kind of, stocks
So
moving.
let's put it this way: Abhishek is definitely Virat Kohli is the best bet. I'm going to come out and hit sixes and fours, and then wait for the momentum to pick up on my side. So you know
Sure.
who is the value and who is the momentum.
And
It's just
finally,
Vishal Bhai's humility.
and finally to say India won the match. So everyone here who are listening to us, we're all looking to win the match. So without wasting much time, guys, also any questions that you have for Abhishek or Vishal, please put it on the comments and we will take it up for sure. Okay, we will ensure that both of these people today answer all our questions here. So without wasting much time, Vishal, over to you. You have some amazing figures to give out and tell our crowd about how Diwali has been, how Muhurat has been, what are the sectors, how do you look at them? Over to you, Vishal.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Nainesh, and thanks, Abhishek. So let me just share my screen. If you can just confirm me that you are able to see my chart.
I can.
Awesome. So as you can see from the chart, I've just pulled up a Nifty 50 chart because how can we not talk about Nifty when we are going to talk about Muhurat Trading Day? So what is interesting is I have plotted this 4 moving averages, which is a 5-day moving average, which is a weekly moving average, a red day, which is a 20-day, a white one is a 50-day, which is a quarter, and a blue one, which is 200-day, which is yearly. And what is the beauty about this? And I start giving a lot of weightages to this moving average, because whenever the index is above this, all the moving averages, that actually tells you, yes, we are into a bit of kind of a sideways zone, but we are not looking at a big drop coming in, because there are buyers at a lower end. And as you can see from the Nifty chart, 16,800 is my Lakshman Rekha, below which I am definitely not going to be bearish on the market. And I have started building a little bit of positions for my swing trading on the Nifty. So this is, and if we are able to sustain about this 17,700 odd levels, obviously, then we have our all-time high inside, which is standing somewhere around 18,000. So definitely, like next Muhurat, I'm pretty sure we will be in a positive zone, as the markets is giving a lot of underlying support. Now let's talk about some interesting facts and thing, because being from a systematic background, how can I not be talking about numbers, right?
Right.
So let me just share my presentation. Nainesh, can you please confirm if you can see the presentation?
I can. Yeah.
Awesome. So, just a disclaimer, obviously, I'm not a CA registered. It's not a recommendation, but it's not an educational. But, and most important thing, don't trade with the money you can't afford to lose. I know Muhurat Trading पे ये सब disclaimer देने अच्छे नहीं लगते, but it is always better to risk the money that you can afford to lose. So, I'm going to talk about 4 important things. Nifty performance on the Muhurat Trading day, Nifty best performing and worst performing stocks, which is history. Because as we technical analysis learn, right? Learn from your history, or history repeat itself. So we're going to learn a bit about Nifty and the best performing stocks. We are going to talk about the best and the worst performing sectors, and my favorite sectorial stock picks for the momentum going into Muhurat. Okay? So this is the most interesting fact. As a trader, this day marks a very special day for us, because we say that you should buy on a Muhurat trading day and you keep it for the long term. That's good. But what does data tells us? This is the Nifty intraday movement of all the years from 2015 on Muhurat day especially. Okay. So what we did was went back in the history, took out the data, figured out when all those Muhurat days were there on a different years, compared their intraday returns like open to close. And as you can see, what was the open to close? 0.18 negative, 0.54 negative, 0.63 2017, which was a bull year, negative, 0.15, 0.30, 0.34, and 0.21. The Nifty intraday return open to close has, for the last 5 years, okay, we can take more data as well, but we had whatever the data we were able to collect in a short span of time. We did it. The data suggests that on intraday basis on Muhurat day, it is better to book some profit. Okay. And book.
Uh, Vishal, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to pause you here and ask Abhishek. Abhishek, Vishal put out an amazing data. I want the investor in you to tell us this. 2015 to 2021, we've seen red candles on every Muhurat. As an investor, how do you look at this?
So I'll look into another set of data which I had actually analyzed. Now for 15 years, for an investing perspective, we need to go and increase the horizon. So what Vishal has mentioned is absolutely right. On Muhurat trades, it's not that great. But as an investor or someone who's going to hold for a fairly long period of time, of all these people, let's assume if you had invested into some quality stocks or let's say Nifty, over the last 15 years, 11 years have been positive and only 4 years have been negative. Okay, that's number one. Now, yes, there is an interesting thing. If you observe, there is a very important observation which you can see in Vishal Bhai's presentation also. You look into the intraday momentum on these particular days of Mahurat trading, they are not that high. The only time when there was a significant amount of jump, that was at 2008, that was post the Lehman crisis, that was a 6.4% return at that point of time. But now that was on the back of, because there was an immense big crisis which had happened with the Lehman Brothers and the subprime crisis, and after that, nothing happened. So we shouldn't consider that was just an outlier year for that matter. In most of the cases, out of 15 years, 14 times the movement in indices has been less than 100 points. Like, I'm talking from the start to the close at that point of time. So one thing which we can observe is, a lot of people think that Muhurat trading पे अगर invest कर दिया, तो that's the only thing which we need to consider. But as Vishal bhai rightly plotted, intraday significant gains are not there. But yes, year on year, if you are actually looking out, there's a profitable economics out here. So considering that, a lot of analysts, a lot of economists are still considering that very soon we are going to be in the, like right now with market capitalization, I guess we are fifth or sixth largest globally, and we have the third largest, youngest economy at this point of time. I feel that that number which I said, that out of 15 years, 11 years have been positive. Going ahead, maybe if we add another 10 years, that is 25 years, who knows, we might be positive for 22 years or 23 years. There would be obviously few drawdowns. So looking from an investor point of view, obviously there is some sort of positivity. But yes, on intraday perspective, what Vishal bhai says, I agree. A lot of people who had been holding on their positions, let's say in the last Muhurat, they might get more benefit by booking rather than just going a fresh buy.
Sure. So Vishal, over to you. I think that answer was amazing. From an investor point of view, you see the same data. Opportunities are right in front of you.
And that's the beauty about, as what Abhishek and we were talking about. It's about your horizon, your perspective about the market that matters the most. And always believe in the law of large number. What Abhishek did mention about the law of large number, right? In 15 years, if you're going to look at it, the market has a tendency to go up, and you bet. If you're a long-term investor, you bet and keep it for a while. That always benefits you. So that's one thing. So these are the 5 intraday movements that we were able to plot. I'm just for an interesting perspective that this is how the Nifty opened at 6:30 and how it closed at 7:30. So every time we have done this, and Nifty had this bit of a rise, but able to close a little bit in the lower end. As you can see, these are the last 2015 onwards, we were able to plot the data. Now, what is even more important, and today still the statistics would not change, is the Nifty overnight return. So one day prior to Mahurat trading day and to the closing of the Mahurat trading day, barring very marginal loss on 2016 and 2017, on an overnight basis, we always had a positive return. If I would have shown this figure, you would have got into Nifty, say, day before yesterday, or on a Friday close. And today we were looking, when I last looked at SGX, it was 300 points up. You would be able to pocket some money out of it. But that shows that there is momentum or the positivity that brings along when we talk about Diwali festivals or the kind of festivity into the market. And we are human beings, right? It is reflection of what we do. And during the season time, we are very happy. And this is Mahurat trading is a special day for all of us. So there is always a positive bias on an overnight performance basis. And I think so today is not going to be no different. That we are going to make money on the overnight basis.
Vishal, I hope I would have known this on Friday. It would have
That's
changed.
what I do.
And irrespective of that, I didn't know this thing. Thankfully, because I was traveling, I have some soul puts. Obviously, not naked, but biases towards positivity. So the Vishal's, I hope that's actually true. Would help me out. But now I know that in the first take, I probably need to book the game. So let's see.
In the opening, book out and let the market correct the
True.
So Nifty generally gives you a positive return on an overnight basis, but has a higher probability. See, I'm going to keep myself high probability of falling down on intraday basis. So what we also did was, because usually the liquidity, if you talk about on a Mahurat trading day, is very sector specific or an index specific, because not much volume happens because we have only 1 or 2 hours of trading happening. So we focused on Nifty 50 stocks. And what we figured out, that across the year, from a descending order, which are the stocks that gives you the best performing returns. And there are certain, no surprises, like, I would call it Tata Motors and Mahindra. Why? Diwali hai. सबसे बड़ी shopping, what do you hold on for? You hold on for your vehicle purchases, and that starts getting reflected in the coming, quarters about this festivity. So as you can see, every year, barring 2021, which was minuscule, Tata Motors has already always given you profitability. Mahindra and Mahindra has always almost given you highest return. This is among the top 50 performing best stocks across the years that we have analyzed. So yeah, it is an interesting kind of facts to have it handy when you are entering into Muhurat trading. So two stocks that you want to keep an eye on: Tata Motors and Mahindra and Mahindra. Obviously, Dr. Reddy Kotak and Power Grid. The other three stocks can be kept on the radar. But obviously, some of the stocks, if you want to play mean reversion, right? The Nifty 50 worst performing stocks across the year is SBI, Bajaj Finance, Titan, Axis Bank, and Cipla. So we have more of banking and financing, which is going into the Muhurat trading day, are the worst performing stocks from 2015 to 2021. Now,
So, so Vishal,
yeah.
the one learning that I have from what you're showing us today is before you go to buy your car and take a loan, buy the stocks and make money off the stock, so you don't need a loan. Hence,
Oh my
banking
God.
does come and your auto stocks do well. So
Yeah.
excellent. I think this is amazing data analysis. What has moved, what has really given the returns. Impactful, and what actually is moving the index, because that is important to understand where the open, high, low, and close is. So excellent. Over to you again.
Thank you, Nainesh. So we also analyzed a bit of sectors since last Muhurat trading session day. So it was Nifty CPSC which has given the highest return, which is 16.58, dividend point 15.3, FMCG, PSU Bank, Energy, and Auto. So if you can see, these are more defensive plays that has happened in the last 1 year. I can see PSU Bank, FMCG, Energy, and Auto. These are all defensive play, at least barring Auto. I see this more of a defensive play. But now, considering in the next Muhurat that we are going to be more aggressive, we're going to see new leaders coming in the market. And as I told you, the ones which lead in the first sector usually tend not to become the leader in the next bull cycle. So I just want to keep an eye on the ones the which people have forgotten about. And these are the sectors that people have forgotten about from the last Mahurat trading session, which is worst sector since last Mahurat trading sessions, was reality, digital, IT, small cap 100, and media. These are all beaten down stocks or a sector in 1 year. So definitely, market small caps will tend to do well once the market hits a new all-time high. But then at least we will start looking at them closely and see if there are any breakout stocks happening.
Sure. Uh, good. The good learning here is, Vishal. Certain sectors have actually outperformed massively, and the leaders of those sectors, which you showed before, have actually given us the return. So it's been
Yes.
quite a selective move. The way Abhishek said, right? It's important to catch your stock with the two factors, and those two factors are, I think, the most common factors from the stocks that even Vishal mentioned. Abhishek, before Vishal goes ahead and talks more in detail about this particular year, which sectors and which stocks, I kind of put this question to you. What's your view? Do you think the let's say the sunrise sector keeps changing every time, or do you like betting on your sectors continuously year on year as an investor?
See, my point is, as long as my thesis doesn't change, and there is a possibility that some sectors might go on for a fairly long period of time, and that's because of the demographics and the fundamentals macros of our country. For example, ours is more of a consumption-driven economy, and yes, there was a time when FMCG pack didn't work out for let's say 6 7 years, but post that, since the per capita income has increased, the GDP has gone up, a lot of developments have taken place, and people now can afford a lot of things. You can clearly see a trend in consumption, which most of the occasions is actually going up. I'm not saying it's never going to stop in that case. At some point of time, obviously, valuations will go insane. There will be cyclicity out there and all those things. So one thing is, yes, as long as the sector specific is concerned, I do agree with Vishal bhai that yes, there's a possibility there would be a change. But then I think that a lot of these sectors, inside the sectors, they also go with a lot of dynamic approach. So let's take an example. If we are talking about auto sector, which hasn't performed so well, just to build up a perspective, obviously those who are not going to change with the times and adopt to the EV segment, they will have some hard time to deal with it. So there was a time in 2014 or 16 when stocks like Ashok Leyland were outperforming, considering the defense projects which were coming out there. And the scrappage policy eventually followed up, and there were some good things which were happening. Likewise, 2005 to 2007, because of the global reasons, entire real estate had performed. And so far, for the last 14, 15 years, it has actually not performed. It has actually underperformed the Nifty. But then what I feel is the quality ones, irrespective of which sector they belong to, they sooner or later start performing over here. Even now, you can see a couple of sectors may not be performing that well, but there are some individual stocks out there who are taking the charge of market leadership and they're going up. So, for example, if you go into paints segment, Asian Paint, Berger Paint, these are some companies which are still holding on to their monopolies out there. And what I often realize is in India, there are a couple of like 20, 25 stocks which have such strong moat, which is very difficult for the competitors to break that thing up. And that's one of the reasons with the consumption theory, there is a constant rise in the CAGR which they are providing. So yes, partially, I would agree with Vishal Bhai that there's a possibility new sectors would perform. But then sooner we are going to discuss about the sectors which I've picked. So out of the ones which have not performed well, which Vishal Bhai has mentioned, I have one sector out of that, but two or three are from the ones which have performed not that significantly, but there are some rationale out there because of which I picked this thing.
Sure. So, Abhishek, before you tell us the sectors, and I'm excited to learn it, guys, everyone watching us today live, put down your questions, okay, for both Mr. Kohli and Hardik. Both of them are going to answer our questions today in the same way they hit sixes in the match. Please put down your questions. I will ensure both of them answer it, and we will get our sectors and stocks from both these guys. Vishal, over to you. I'm excited to learn what's your sector theme for this Muhurat.
No, so definitely. So one of the thing is learn from the history. So what we did was just for the perspective of how high can a stock go, and what we did was from last Mahurat trading session, we in the Nifty 500 stocks, which were the multi gainers that we were able to figure out, and we figured out some of these stocks. Obviously, it has no relevance. I would not say it has no relevance, but I would say like, okay, it's good to know that they've gone up. I would be more interested which one is going to go up next. But just to give you a perspective, AW Adani Wilmar rose about 155%, Deepak Fertilizer about 153, LG Equipment 145, Adani Total Gas 127. Yes, there are outperformers. We just need to pick them up. And then obviously, you want to cut your losses short if you are going wrong. I still remember when two of our spinners were bowling and they were getting hammered. Rohit was very smart to bring in Hardik Pandya and Mohammad Sami to kind of get some wickets for us. So you need to know when to hold them and you need to know when to fold them. So these were the stocks you should have definitely folded way back before they turn out to be a bad stocks in your portfolio like Dhani, Policy Bazaar, DBL, Paytm, Motherson. Sorry. So these were the worst performing stocks in the last Muhurat trading session. So coming to the last slide, and I'll tell you what was the rationale behind picking up these stocks and picking up this sector. Okay, so what we, I was talking with Abhishek and we discussed that I'm a momentum player. I go with the momentum. So what we did was we back in the history from today till Friday in the Nifty 500 stocks. We calculated the percentage return in terms of 1 month percentage return, 3 month percentage return, 6 months, and a 1 year. That means in all the time frames, on a shorter time frame, in a medium time frame, and in the longer time frame, all the stocks have given a positive momentum in terms of percentage, and then took an average of it. And surprisingly, there were clear cut 3 themes that came along in my portfolio that I am going to bet on the what I would call it in the going into Muhurat. So I have a question to ask to you. Like Nainesh, what is the first thing when the festival season comes up? What are you going to do with the money that all the bonuses that you have got? What are you going to do with it? So Nainesh,
I'm going to buy some clothes, Vishal.
yep. So you know the answer. I think so. The paper has been leaked to you. So apparel and clothing. Sorry. So apparel and clothing that came up in the radar list big time. Obviously, Go Fashion is a recently listed one, kind of giving a IPO based breakout. But if you and even the Metro brand, if you see Shopper Stop, Go Fashion, and Metro brand, these are the three stocks in a rising sector, which is apparel and clothing sector, which is gaining a lot of traction in terms of momentum. So I'm going to keep an eye on these three stocks. Secondly, as you could see, the PSU mid-cap banks, there were in the leaders, I think so, leader space, but three stocks that have started showing a lot of momentum. I would not call them mid-cap banks, but in a broader bucket of banks, Karur Vysya Bank, IDFC First, and Indian Bank. And the last and not the least, the sector that has done phenomenally well till this point of time, but I have still no reason to believe that they will underperform, is the transportation. And the transportation is Mazgaon Dock, Cochin Shipyard, and GE Shipping. So these are the three sectors, three stocks in each. That's total of 9 stocks for you that I'm going to go into Muhurat with. And if I wanted to build a concentrated portfolio, these are the 9 stocks that I'm going to bet on.
Lovely. So,
That's from
Vishal,
our end.
we'll go back to the previous slide. And three sectors you explained: apparel, clothing, mid-cap banks, transportation. I think very, very interesting bets that we have. Obviously, you mentioned the stocks as well. Abhishek, I'm going to take your views on this. Apparel, clothing, mid-cap banks, and transportation. What's your pick? Before I go to your own sectors, what's your thought in these sectors? I mean, you cannot comment about the stocks, your call. But tell us, what do you think about these sectors as an investor?
So for apparel and clothing, yes, it's a good sector. I'll tell you, very simple. I go to very basics. India में चलता है रोटी कपड़ा मकान. So all these three things are evergreen theme. At least when we talk about a consumption nation like India, मतलब you go and you can clearly see the grace. I mean, there was a point of time when a lot of people were reluctant to go to malls and purchase good apparels. But today you would find even people who are probably not earning in a very big league, but still trying to prefer and go for quality clothing and apparels and all these things. So yes, that's a completely doable thing. Transportation, of course, I agree on that part because see, logistics includes a lot of things. Since India is a growing economy, this also plays a very crucial role. So transportation obviously is again this thing. Mid-cap banks, yes, I have a little bit of skepticism out there, just opening my heart. Like I still feel that yes, these have very good potential because the stocks which Vishal Bhai has picked are actually good because he has picked on the basis of momentum. In the longer run, what I've seen is the front line banks on a historical basis have performed really well. So the only catch in mid cap banks, if someone is really wanting to hold it for a fairly long period of time, is I would suggest to keep on monitoring every quarter at least once to understand how their books are going on and everything. If they're doing something like a momentum, like Vishal Bhai, then completely fine. Open the charts, look into the momentum thing. Whenever you are capturing the momentum, make the money and just chill out. Happy Diwali. But if you're someone who wants to hold it for a fairly long period of time, because bank is a very sensitive area where NPA issue sometimes emerges. There are a couple of banks where the books actually get cooked up. So for that, I would say quarter on quarter monitoring. So I'll give a very good thumbs up to the apparel part and the transportation part. Mid cap also because Vishal Bhai is a friend, so I'll give a thumbs up.
Sure. So, guys, I think amazing sectors to bet on. You know, the best part about what I see here is that he's betting on something not what every analyst is talking about. Every analyst is saying buy the top, buy the best, buy the sectors working. He's saying, hey, we'll bet on things where we see momentum. So that is in Vishal's term, the Hardik Pandya picks, the picks where 1 over 15 required and he'll manage it. It's momentum stocks. Let's go to the Virat Kohli now. Abhishek, I'm going to ask you this question. Which are your sectors? What are the sectors you're looking out to bet on?
Okay, so to make sure that I don't miss any points, I've just written it down. And guys, for those who don't know, I am traveling since I don't know when, and I am still traveling. So I've just written down the points. And by the way, just before I proceed, I must appreciate and commend the efforts which Vishal Bhai has put in to create that presentation as well as the data points which he has brought, because fabulously presented, and it was a fab job. So very good, Vishal Bhai and your team.
Thanks a lot, Abhishek, for your kind words.
I mean, so now I'm going to cover like four sectors, more or less nine stocks, but there is a 10th surprise where I can suggest people can even allocate 50% of the portfolio. I know it completely messes up the allocation, but so people stay glued towards the end. What is the last one? So the first one is precautionary healthcare. Now, I'll also tell you the rationale. So basically, after COVID, a lot of people have become little serious about diagnostics. They are getting their body checked up quite regularly. Not just that, when I say precautionary healthcare, it's also about insurance. A lot of awareness has actually spread around people. People have started taking care of their loving ones because they realize. And another element, if you have realized over the last 1 year, suddenly because of the rise of heart attacks and cardiac arrest, a lot of people have started taking a few things seriously around the precautionary healthcare. So I understand that there are few aspects to this thing, like hospital is there, pharma diagnostic is there, and insurance is there. So broadly, I've picked up something from insurance. First, why insurance? Because first, still there is a low penetration when you compare with our Western peers, US, UK. We have a very low penetration out there. It is a very cash rich business. Some of you might think that the insurance business hasn't performed really well post COVID. That's because suddenly there were rise of claims, because of which their books had actually taken a hit. But let's understand now the insurance companies have also evolved and adopted based on whatever things and circumstances have taken place, and they have moved past it. Cash rich company, even the legendary Warren Buffett has always mentioned his one of the finest investments were in Geco. So with that being said, I'm more positive towards private insurance space, and there is one company called HDFC Life, which I consider to be a really good. First, because of top class management. Second, I feel that going ahead, private insurance companies will take over the public ones. Now, recently, like last year, this year itself, we had one listed public based company, but I feel now the dynamics would change, stakeholder responsibility, and all those things, and private people might do really well. So that's one. The second, since I said that for those people who don't know, India is called the pharmacy of the world at this point of time because of its generic drugs. Close to 54% of generic drug supply as of now to a lot of major nations is coming through India. So I feel that generic drugs and a few which are already pioneer in the drug field is actually going to perform well. And for that, I'm also considering one with a top leading quality, that is Biocon by Kiran Majumdar. And by the time I'm speaking, I was just over the flight. I got a message. So sorry to hear his husband passed away. So sorry on this day. Yeah, I just got that news on the cell phone. So I pray to the God that he blesses the soul. So that's one. And in diagnostic and all, Dr. Lal Park Labs. So that's the precautionary healthcare. So I've picked insurance, a bit of pharma, and a bit of diagnostic. Talking about the next, I said in the starting, I'm still very positive on the consumption and the retail part of India. First, obviously, no brainer is the amount of population which we have. Very soon, we are going to surpass China in that case. Not just in population, I'm telling you, a few more years, I'm very confident. I've been telling it in almost all my interviews. We're going to surpass China in our growth also. And there are multiple reasons. I don't want to talk about that at this point of time. People might say he's over optimistic, but I have data points. We'll talk sometime later. But one area, I'll tell you 4 5 reasons why I feel. First is demographic dividends. The kind of young population we have, they are going to bring a lot of innovation. Always understand from a consumption perspective, a 70-year-old probably doesn't have much desire to buy a Ferrari or a Lambo or something. It's usually the 30, 40, 45, the young generation, the young population who has more desires to buy and consume. We are the ones who are actually consuming the Starbucks, the Burger King, the McD's, and of all the world. So first of all, consumption, that's one reason. The next thing is we are now having a high income disposable in the hand. Because of the rise of the salary structure, the rise of the income, the rise of internet, a lot of things are changing. you can see how the digital economy is also going to change, because UPI is a very unique concept, and it has actually transformed the digital space because of the clarity, because of the kind of risk awareness now people are having, the OTP thing and everything. So people feel a little secured out there. So that's one. And yes, investments by FDI have also increased significantly. So consumption is one area, consumption and retail. So three picks out of there. One is DMart for three, four reasons. First, good distribution. Now they are even getting into the e-com play, which they were missing out at one point of time. And currently, see, the Big Bazaar was one strong competitor for it, but we all know what it has gone through. So it is actually enjoying the monopoly as of now. There are a couple of other leading players who have tried to bring DMart down, but still not possible. So it is commanding that sort of valuation. So DMart is one. Asian Paint, again, leader in paints, good mode, good supplier. They are able to supply to their best suppliers within 2 hours. A lot of good supplier chain and everything. So that's the next one. And one more thing, when I said disposable income is increasing, so right now I mentioned I'm traveling to a lot of places, a good metros also, as well as villages also. The surprising thing is, even into semi-rural areas, now they have air conditioners at their home. And yes, because the affordability has increased, and I mentioned semi-rural because I don't want to create a debate that logo khane ka nahi mila. I'm talking about semi-rural areas where they have electricity supply. What I'm observing is this disposable income is increasing, and people are not minding to spend 20, 25, 30,000 for an air conditioner, considering the amount of heat. Because this year itself, we realized some 56-year-old hotter climate or something like that. So people don't mind. So in that area, Voltas is one thing. So far I've given DMart, Asian Paint, Voltas, HDFC Life, Biocon, and Dr. Lal PathLabs. These are six. The next sector, Nanish, let me just complete and then you can cross question whatever you want to know. Okay. So that is something related to, so Vishal Bhai mentioned one company, I guess somewhere Power Grid, not exactly in the sectors, but that was somewhere. So something related to power and EV. So I've made a combination. I'm not just going through a very simple this thing. So when I said healthcare, it was precautionary healthcare. When I'm saying consumption, consumption and retail based consumption. So now it's EV and power. So just for a perspective, as of now, what is happening? 65% of the consumption is coming through thermal power. Then some 20 to 23 is hydro, and the rest one. So we have still long way to go over there, and we have to adopt, because pure science we have studied. Fossil fuels don't have much of longevity; take 10,000 years decomposition and all those things. And coal shortage we have seen in these summers. There was a time where 12 of the biggest power units didn't have enough supply of coal. So we have started witnessing this thing. And this is something which even government has taken care of. So they are supporting it with 80,000 crore of subsidies already. They have already in plans. Government is setting 450 gigawatt by 2030 to generate clean energy. So what I'm trying to come up with this thing, that yes, some of you might say that Abhishek, you're saying about EV vehicles, then the semiconductor issue is going to keep a trouble. Again, from a momentum perspective, that would be an issue. When you are increasing your view, the semiconductor thing is not going to take for like 5 or 6 years or 7 years. So sooner or later, everyone is going to find some robust solutions towards this thing. FDI limit again has increased over here. Another thing, for those people who don't know, this is a sad statistic that India, in the world, there was a survey done of the top 10 polluted cities, and India has six cities in that, in the world. Okay. So somewhere government, agencies, innovators, young people, they have also realized that it's high time we should actually shift into clean energy. And that's why if you visit places like Pune, Bangalore, you would find a lot of these developments taking place which are more towards eco-friendliness, which you can clearly see. It's very evident. So that's another one. And yes, climate change and all those things are actually coming up. So there are two companies. One which Vishal Bhai said has been performing really well during Muhurat, that is M&M. Why I'm considering, a lot of people are actually talking from EV and auto space only about Tata Motors. That is what I've seen, because it has performed significantly well for the last couple of years. But while I was just going through a lot of news elements, what the company is doing, I feel they have a very strong this thing, good leadership as well as strong design team, and they might also surpass in terms of the EV segment also. So that's a bold thing I'm saying. And there's another this thing that for those people who don't know, I know a lot of EVs are not listed as of now, but the CAGR on the non-listed front, which EVs have given over the last 4 years, it is 94%. 94%. which is incredible. And I think it's still long way to go. There's just one challenge that when we talk about EV batteries, that comes through that has cobalt in it, and 70% of it has been dominated by China via South African routes. But I'm pretty sure that sooner or later we are also finding at our place, because Bangalore, there are a couple of my colleagues who are working, and they are showing some promising signs out there. So that's another one. One more thing, Indian government realizes that supply chain disruption because of the crude oil dependency on others is a big problem. So this is the thing. And final sector is the AI and internet. So taking the digital theme. So Vishal Bhai had the second point out there, that is the digital theme. So first of all, no-brainer, data consumption has gone up thanks to Geo. Second is exports also we are talking about, IT and digital, they're contributing. So 40% of it is coming from the top 5 companies, but others are also picking up. And did you notice we had 32 unicorns in the last 1.5 years, like new unicorns? Most of them, like significant of them, are from the digital era. They're not the conventional ones. They're not mom and pop shops or something like that. Most of the unicorns have come up from there. Everything is turning digital, and 54% contribution towards our economy is also through the service sector as the digital. So there are two picks out there, LTTS, and one final one, which is into the gaming pack. I see all my brothers, all my cousins, everyone is into gaming. So I'm going to the scuttlebutt method by Peter Lynch. And yes, there's one common thing Vishal and me keep on reading, so he can relate the book which I'm talking about. So using scuttlebutt and some common sense, I believe that Delta Corp, because obviously in the gaming pack, when we talk about it, is having a leadership 2019. Since 2019, there has been a 40% rise in the gaming pack revenues which they are getting. Obviously, they got into the Goa casinos, and that's a different thing. I'm not talking about that. But these are the 9 stocks. And final, I said, I would say that 50% one can allocate over here. And Vishal Bhai is also all ears to this thing. And that is nothing but Nifty Bs. Because I always say, इंसान हो या Nifty हो, at the end सबको ऊपर जाना है. And I'm so confident about this thing. Because this is a Vikram Samvat. This time, the one we are talking about, Vikram Samvat, in the name of Raja Vikram, this thing. So the theme I feel which we should be taking over here is be very positive on India, because हमारा India ऊपर ही जाना है यहाँ से. It is not going to come down. And Vishal Bhai also mentioned that point, so I would agree on that. So these are like 10 picks from me.
So,
Thanks,
Nainesh,
Abhishek.
before you start, I have to tell you one thing. Now you know why King Kohli is called King Kohli and original God. So these stocks and the sectors that he has kind of talked about is so common sense and really performs so well. It's just that sometimes we tend to get so flamboyant with this exotic stuff, but the simple thing works. And that's what Abhishek did mention about, like, I love the theme about AC, because whenever I go and I just, keep my eyes on the houses, like every other house, tell me which house does not have an AC. So obviously it's a play that you really want to bet on, that comes out. But really, heads up. And I love the thing when he keeps on saying that आदमी हो या निफ्टी ऊपर ही जाना है, and it just goes into me. So that's it. Heads up to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So, Abhishek, I think that was like the best 10 minutes that I have heard. Amazing, in-depth figures, reasons to why, which stock and which sector. Within the sector, you've actually spoken about, within that sector, what you think will work. Like you said, retail consumption, very important. People leave it at consumption and say, yes, India story, consumption, very good. You said no, retail. That's where we bet on. And I think that was like a strong point that you made. Besides that, all your examples, the AC example, I think I agree with you. I've seen it. People would love to spend that. It's become more of a necessity. Previously, it was like a luxury to have one. Now it's become a necessity. People are spending on it. And I think the best one was the Nifty Bs. The ETFs that we talk about, yes, definitely is the best. In case you've missed the bus, in case you don't have enough money to buy all the momentums and all the investments that both the guys have mentioned to us today, the best way is Nifty Bs. Nifty Bs can be the best way to go out. So I think, amazing stocks. By the way, M&M, okay, the stock that you mentioned about, yes, very strong on this theme for sure. There's no doubt about it. But what you mentioned, I think, is the most important part. They're betting on EV. Yeah, some of their vehicles, like the recent launches of the vehicles, have 2 years of waiting. That's like an insane amount of waiting to buy your vehicle. I think 2 Diwalis will go by and we'll not still have a vehicle. That's how crazy the demand is. And the
So
third
that
thing,
is also I got to know through scuttlebutt method. This is also what I had identified on the ground. So that was also one of the reasons. Yeah, go ahead,
sure.
Nainesh.
And the third thing, I think as a technical analyst, and Vishal will agree with me, most of the stocks that you guys mentioned are all touching their all-time highs. And that becomes even more interesting. Every time you go to a chart and check it and check that they are at all-time highs, they become more interesting for us to bet on. The vision or we become stronger with our points that yes, these stocks can move. So excellent. I think I've got my list of stocks ready, what I want to buy for this Muhurat. I'm going to leave some questions for the crowd. Let's talk to the crowd. Guys, any questions? We have 10 minutes on us before we go and collect all the money, put it in our trading accounts, and be ready at 6:15 to buy these stocks. Any questions that you have for either of these two? Okay, I've got a question from Venkatesh. I'm going to take that. Okay. One is, sorry, I'm just going to take this question. Any view on the IT sector? Anyone can take it. Abhishek, do you want to take this one?
I think so. Let Virat
Yes.
Kohli go for it.
Even Vishal can add. So positive on IT sector, but you have to be very specific. The next big thing which I feel would come in IT is the AI and the machine learning. So anyone who's coming over on those areas with significant amount of projects is something which can benefit. Also, a lot of us are actually talking about inflation, interest rate, and the depreciating value of rupee. Also, everyone is talking. But if you broadly look, the depreciating value of rupee could be an advantageous situation to ITs who are exporting. So if someone is able to identify, I still feel there are a couple of IT companies which are available at attractive valuations also, and there are some with good moat also. Like LTTS is one such company which I feel is really good with this thing. 60% of their revenues are actually coming from United States, so there is a deep concentration that could be an issue, but then their projects and everything is actually good. So not a recommendation out here. Me or Vishal bhai are just providing our insights out here. But yes, IT is something which one should have in this thing in their portfolio. Vishal bhai, over to you.
Vishal, you're on mute.
Yes, Abhishek was discussing about the IT sector. I just put out the chart. Can you see the chart?
Yeah,
You can see the chart now, Nainesh?
yeah, I can.
Awesome. So as I can see, Nifty IT just loaded the Nifty IT's kind of index, and interestingly, what we call as in our technical term made a triple bottom. Every time it
Bottom.
reaches this 26,200 or 26,000 odd levels, it just keeps on bouncing from that level. Although not a very bullish view on that, because still it is below certain moving averages, still in the range bound mode. So I'm kind of a guy. People who knows me want to bet on a horse which is running the fastest. Definitely not this stock for me, at least in the momentum space. But as Abhishek mentioned, value, real money is made in value. We usually play the momentum game, but definitely we have our own chips that we put it out and put it back in, and we play on that. So Nifty IT, maybe till 30,500 odd levels are broken on the upside, I may not bet on them.
Sure. So thanks for that, Vishal. And I think the chart is definitely interesting. Abhishek, I think we should reiterate the point that we discussed in Bangalore as well. As a whole, the index could see these spurts of correction, but there are few sectors which will hold up the index. Remember, we spoke about this, and the first one we both named was IT. So, yes, having said that, let me tell you guys that Abhishek and me did talk about this sector. And yes, it seems interesting with the way the rupee is doing. You can see some cash flows increasing for these companies. So I'm going to take a new question by Deep. He's asking, what's your take on alcohol and beverage breweries-based companies? So anyone who
खुशी में दारू पियो, गम में दारू पियो, दारू तो पीना पीना ही है. No, I think so. There's a lot of WhatsApp jokes goes around, but at least on the brewery stock, we have seen some of the stocks, kind of taking up, but I have not been tracking them very closely. So no view for them, at least on the brewery side.
Abhishek, for you?
Thin stocks usually perform really well, but again, see, we cannot be expert in everything. Again, same thing. I'm not tracking it quite often. It could be possible because my trackers haven't yet spotted at this point of time. वो शायद move आया नहीं है, and that's why once they are in the track, I would be in a better position to answer. So हाँ, मतलब ठीक है. It's a good phase. जैसे बोला खुशी हो या गम हो पीना ही है. But but at this point of time, since I'm not tracking, so I would say neutral at this point.
Sure. So, Deep, for now, we've given you enough views, but no particular view in terms of alcohol and breweries. I'm going to take one question from Dave. Dave has been active on the chat. He mentioned about Nifty Bees and was really happy that Abhishek spoke about it. His question is, should you put a stop loss for long term? I will take this question first to Abhishek. Abhishek, you've been a long term investor. Your answer to this: should you put a stop loss? It's a price-based stop loss to your long-term investments.
So this debate can go endless. So for example, I can tell you that Vishal Bhai would say, because he's a momentum player, that yes, there has to be a stop loss and you might exit, because some people might quote examples of DHFL, Yes Bank, Videocon, etc. My point is, rather than stop loss, allocation is the most important key when it comes to investing. So even if someone had DHFL, but if someone had another seven stocks, let's say by Asian Paint, Bajaj Finance, HUL or whatever at that point of time, that loss could have been fairly compensated. What I would say people to refrain from is doing an averaging based model. If something is going wrong and people keep on buying, this is what has happened with a lot of people in cases like Jet Airways. People have been averaging since 350, RCOM, ADAG Group, a lot of stocks. The problem is what they don't realize is that आप अगर 1 लाख रुपए डालो या 5 लाख रुपए भी डालो एवरेज करके, एट द एंड अगर स्टॉक जीरो होगा तो आपको पूरा पैसा जाना है. योर एंटायर सम इज गोइंग टू गेट लॉस. So what I'm against is averaging. A smart way to do if you are going a long term is a fair amount of allocation. Increase your allocation. This is very important. Increase your allocation in those stocks which are actually performing well. A lot of people do the contra of that. Momentum pyramiding जो कहते हैं, which a lot of good traders as well as investors do. That is something which I would suggest rather than this thing. So what I would say is, first of all, when you should exit your stock is something important. For me, it's fairly simple. If the thesis on the basis of which I'm picking up a stock has changed, I'm going to exit. So what could be the reasons? First, मैं जिस business model के लिए invest कर रहा हूँ, वो अचानक से they are going into some different sides of businesses. So let's say if I'm investing into consumption thing, now they say कि हम EV के गाड़ियां भी बनाएंगे, हम ये भी बनाएंगे, you should exit. So a lot of people who keep on criticizing that we lost money in Kingfisher Airlines should have thought that someone who is the king of alcohol and all these things, who achanak se is going into a capital intensive this thing, that should be a red light for anyone. Of course, it took fair amount of time, but still, everyone cannot be. Same if you look, someone, for example, if some company is over diversifying, this is something which Jay Prakash Group also did, a big mistake out there, and their books actually got into debt. My another exit point is if the pledge in the books is actually increasing significantly. अगर promoter pledge पे pledge कर रहा है, why someone is pledging? Because the loans are not been provided or the person is not able to pay back. So original thesis अगर आपका बदलता है, it doesn't make sense. So there was a time when DHFL was considered as a very good stock. In fact, number one or number two in the NBFC space. But the moment there were red flags, it came down from 600 odd levels to 400 odd levels. It was an exit sign. You don't need a stop loss or something. Exit करो. Yes Bank, when Rana ji mujhe maaf karna news actually came out, it was a red flag out there. One should have exited rather than waiting for this thing. But problem is we keep on averaging. So my view is, of course, I would love to hear Vishal Bhai's view. If your original thesis change, exit. Don't average it blindly. Even if you want to add, do pyramid, that is reverse of the averaging, which one needs to do. And always emphasize on portfolio allocation. Don't just put everything into one stock. Just try to diversify it at least 5 stocks. That is something which I would suggest.
So I again, when King Kohli is hitting, your job is to stay on the crease, just that, and that's what I'm going to do here, because I'm not a long-term investor, but I always believe that you should have your stop loss in the system. But I was kind of going through a YouTube video of Rakesh ji, late Rakesh ji, and he pointed out a very interesting thing that has kind of been there in my mind for a long time. And he said कि बॉस जब भी आप लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हो ना, तो प्राइस मत देखो, आपकी ओरिजिनल थीसिस देखो. You think about your thesis of why you were investing. And what brilliant example Abhishek gave about the Kingfisher one, right? When a company has made its name, you cannot be everything. You cannot go and do everything. And that is where it's one of the flag that you really want to keep and hand on, that if the company original thesis that you bought this stock for, and if that thesis is getting wrong, and you keep on validating that hypothesis again and again with the market and the management, and if that hypothesis is going wrong, that is the time to exit for your long term bets. So that's how I kind of talk about it. But again, I'm not a long-term investor. But that really dawned on me. And it's very simple thing, because when you're a long-term, as Warren Buffett says, you're not investing into a stock. You're investing in a company. You're betting on a management. So your thesis are based on that. The maybe plays or the long-term plays that you're betting on. So no point of keeping a stop loss till what all the brilliant point Abhishek put out on. Never average it. Check your hypothesis again and again and take it up from there onwards.
Sure. So I think, Dave, that would have been like a clear answer for you. Depends on what type of investor. Price-based stop loss might not be the best to keep, but ensure that you keep a thesis-based stop loss. If the reason that you've invested is actually not existing, get out. And the other thing which Abhishek actually highlighted, and I'd like to kind of reiterate that, is do opposite pyramiding. If the stock is working in your favor, if things are going well, prices kind of going where you want it to, then go and double your bets. And that's how you will kind of ensure that you make your Diwali a very special one. So, guys, I would love to chat like this. I'm getting to learn a lot. But before we kind of end this session, I'm going to give both of you a chance to kind of summarize and tell us how this Diwali will be for you, and a few things that our investors and traders should know of before entering this year. So I'll start off with Vishal, and then we'll go on to Kohli or Abhishek. Vishal, over to you.
So I think so. The what brilliant way to start to have a conversation on the same panel as Abhishek. Let me be very honest, and I'm truly humble because I've heard him a lot. No, I'll be very honest, Nainesh, and because what I've met him few months back, and I've learned a lot of things from him. So it's always a pleasure, sharing the stage with him. So that's a good beginning of the Diwali, I would call it. Now coming to the things that I really wanted to emphasize on going forward and what has really changed for me going in this year, nothing changed. The same thing applies what you have been doing. Okay, stick to your forte. Stick to what you are good at. There have been ways and there will be times where you will be lured by a lot of different things, big M2M screenshots, people traveling, everything, and you cannot do everything. You need to figure out that either you're a fundamental analyst, you're a technical analyst, you're a algo, whatever you want to do it, just stick to it for a while till things really proves you that it doesn't work for you. Because even babies take 9 months. Nature cannot give you baby like that. You have to develop your own niche. And last thing that I would say, and Warren Buffett says that markets are nothing but a transfer of wealth from an impatient investor to a patient investor. ट्रेडर हूँ मोमेंटम ट्रेडर हूँ तो चेंज कर दिया. Markets are nothing but a systematic transfer of money, not wealth, money from an indisciplined trader to a disciplined trader. That's pretty much about it.
So good learning. Market is nothing but a transfer of money from indisciplined trader to a disciplined trader. So that's the first learning I would take. Disciplined trader. And Vishal, we're going to keep talking to you and learning how to become disciplined traders. Before that, let me go to Abhishek. And Abhishek, your last thoughts.
Simple. I mean, one should not actually stop learning. That's the most important thing. Whenever I ping Vishal Bhai or just look, I often ping around what book you are reading or what's going up with you. I think it's very important, be it a trader or an investor. Some people might think that how can books actually help you to become a very good trader or investor? So I say that एक इमारत को खड़े करने के लिए जो नींव चाहिए रहती है, that is something which learning actually provides. So today it can be podcast, it could be digital medium, it could be platforms like this where we are discussing. But books play a significant role. Lately, me and Vishal Bhai have been reading less. We talk about that. But you should actually emphasize on learning and reading, irrespective of whichever profession you pick. That's one. And second is something which you can learn from Vishal Bhai, and I've also told him, keep smiling. I mean, stay happy, irrespective of whatever happening. You would always see, look into his videos, meet him in person. He'll always smile, and I'm always trying to figure out why is he always into a smiling state. But that actually reflects that yes, he is actually happy. He is actually happy out there. So this is something which everyone should learn because lately we have become so stressful. I'll tell you. So, for example, a very simple context. Vishal Bhai goes and if he tweets that what a wonderful day. Let's say that day market had fallen down, he has made money. Instead of people appreciating that he might have made money, there were 10 people critically acclaiming, oh my God, people are losing money. And so people have become so serious about everything. I think they need to take a chill pill. They need to enjoy because at the end, what matters is that आप जितना भी पैसा कमा लो, you should have a stress-free living at that point of time. Obviously, we all go through various tranches of this thing, but it's very important, and that's one of the reasons why I keep on traveling. ठीक है, जो हो गया भाड़ में जाओ घूमते रहो. So, so of maybe 12 months, I think 7-8 months I'm traveling. So that's that. So sometimes I feel I should open a travel agency also. That could be alternate source of
Yeah,
income.
that's the beauty about it. Like every week I call up Abhishek, he's at a new place. And I think so that's what made him what he is. Like, a different experiences, different meeting a lot of people. And I think so he's one of the most well networked trader with everyone he knows, which is just a call away. Like, Abhishek, isse baat karni. Okay. Okay.
And I'll add just one more point. One more point. And Nainesh, you would also agree. You have seen Vishal Bhai, you have talked to him, you must have met other traders. The more they evolve, the humble they get, the more humble they get. So you would always find a humility. Now Vishal Bhai is into league, he's not competing. कि अरे अभिषेक ये कर रहा मैं ये करूँ. No, he is like अच्छा अभिषेक भी कर रहा है क्या बात है. हम भी अपने में अच्छे कर रहे हैं वो भी अच्छा कर रहा है. That's the kind of feeling which I feel should be there in the community. Yes, if someone is doing wrong, you can have your opinions, but in more or less everyone is doing really well in their respective domains. He's a very good system trader. I am probably doing really well on the content part also. So this is something which we should appreciate about each other. But that's how community would grow. And I would also like to thank Fisdom for conducting this kind of session and helping out to build awareness among people. So thank you so much for inviting both of us.
Thanks, Abhishek, and thanks, Vishal. So I think the one big takeaway from Abhishek from what you mentioned is emphasize on learning and keep smiling. That's the most important. So, guys, as we talk about emphasizing on learning, the Fisdom YouTube channel is taking a lot of effort to ensure that you get your learnings. Vishal comes on our channel every single month. Abhishek is going to come more often now. We're going to chat up. While all of us are they are reading books, all of us are waiting to take the knowledge from them. So guys, subscribe to the channel, ensure that you are there out there waiting to listen. We have a show with Vishal, expiry special with Vishal Mehta. We're going to have Abhishek coming in more often talking about investing as well as trading. So guys, for sure. And the fact that today on a Muhurat day on Diwali, both of them are here with us sharing Diwali ideas. For sure, subscribe to banta hai boss. So ensure that you click that button, subscribe to the channel. And while people spend their money on booking cars, on the spending that they do, which Abhishek, Vishal, all of them have spoken about, while the economy is growing, consumption is growing, bet on the stocks. Ensure you put in enough money in your trading account. Bet on these stocks. Stay through your crease, whether you're Hardik, whether you're Kohli. Play the way you would like to. The aim of the game is to win, to make money. So thank you guys on that note. Thank you so much. You've really helped all of us here listening to you. And we're looking forward to more interactions like this. Abhishek, it was amazing. Thank you for the time that you've given us. Guys, by the way, shout out to Abhishek. Abhishek has landed just 10 minutes before this session. He ensured that he is at a place where he can talk to us. So thank you so much. Vishal, as always, ever smiling, always ready to come and talk to us. So Vishal, thank you. Happy Diwali to all of you, all the viewers. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much. And we will see you again. Please ensure you put your comments on this video. Whatever you'd like to learn from Abhishek, from Vishal, put it there and we'll ensure they come to us again on the same page, hit the same sixes, and give us the understanding that we want. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.